everybody. I'm Camille.
I'm Christopher, and this is my appearance.
And we're making a stink.
What are you laughing at?
Yo.
Alright.
Okay. This is a cool video. I've decided.
You've decided it?
I've decided this is a cool video.
How do you know? You haven't shot it yet.
I mean, the topic's cool.
Okay, yeah.
We're talking about the Areej Doré Classic Collection.
Yeah, so what is this classic collection?
It is 3 fragrances that have been re-released as in a different presentation.
Right.
Basically, that's the short version.
Yeah, so I think it was our second video, which I maintain that is our best video. When we were talking about Musk II and Grandinia from the 6th collection, I had said, you know, I'm really disappointed I'm late to the Areej game, right? Mm-hmm. I wanted to try these Ottoman empires and such. I think I said something along those lines.
Yeah.
Now I get to, because, you know, the Ottoman empires, the Russian Musks and the Oud Zhens, they're gone. People have them. Mm-hmm. So we never really got a chance to try them. So I was really excited when Russian Adam said that he was kind of like re-releasing this classic collection of, I don't know, was this the first collection? I don't really know. Why did he choose these? I'm not sure. Maybe it had to do with ingredients.
Yeah, what he could source.
You know, what I really like about Russian Adam is every time he does something, he tries to raise the bar for himself a little bit.
Puts obviously a great amount of care into what he puts out there.
Right. So this classic collection, he didn't really put out any notes or anything. He just said, okay, you know, it's the classic collection as you know it, but there were some improvements to some of the materials. Some of the musks that were synthetic in the original ones, such as Castoreum and Civet, are now real in this. And just some of the quality of some of the other ingredients, he kind of said is a little bit different. Some of the ingredients are vintage things rather than modern things. You could watch him kind of talk about all of this pre-release and post-release.
He has a YouTube channel that we'll link below.
And I'm fully expecting, you know, the internet probably already had locked and loaded before this was even released. You had some people that were going to say the originals are better. They already had it queued up, ready to go, that when these came out, they're just going to say the originals are better. Well, guess what? We haven't smelled the originals. So
but as
this
an
isn't gonna be a
aside, I will
comparison.
interrupt you. A handful of our subscribers very, very kindly sent us decants of a lot of discontinued or, you know, old limited editions of Russian Adam. So that'll be a future video coming up, and I'm sure we can compare some of these to the old versions.
Yeah, some of them, but that's not what we're doing here. No. We're just going to discuss the 3 releases kind of, you know, for their own merits. So it's not going to be, is this better, is this worse? This is just, you know, how they smell to us, what we think of them. We have all 3 to talk about. So we have Ottoman Empire III, we have Russian Musk II, and Oud Zhen II. Is that what it is? I don't even know what these things... Yeah, so it's 2, 2, and 3. Yeah. Russian Musk II, Oud Zhen, which has a little bit of a different spelling.
Right.
From before, because it's supposed to be a... I think it's supposed to be like more of a... like a place kind of thing.
There's a different meaning.
There's a different meaning. He said it has nothing to do with like kind of the religious or spiritual aspect. It has to do with kind of what it is, if you will. Okay, I like that. So before we get into this, before we actually get into smelling this, we should open some wine. Yep. Right?
Yep. If you're new to our channel, we always start with wine, so...
We do. Sometimes it's
skip ahead
something else.
If you don't like it. If not, here we have a Beaujolais Blanc.
We have a Beaujolais Blanc. So this is interesting. I've never had one, actually. So we know Beaujolais. We love Beaujolais. Beaujolais being the Gamay grape from the Beaujolais region in France. I would say that if you don't like Beaujolais, you don't like wine. I'll say that.
Well, I mean, Beaujolais, I feel like a good Beaujolais is like really kind of my style of wine.
Yeah.
But then you can get a lot of sort of kind of shitty Beaujolais.
Yeah, it's become...
You kind of have to spend money to have a good one for that specific region.
I think that's true now, but I would say 10 years ago,
Yeah.
It became kind of like the hyped region because you could get things cheap that were amazing,
Yeah,
better
that's not the
values than
case anymore.
in kind of like the Burgundy Pinot Noir wines, which are close by, different grape, but terroir is similar. And then people were buying them up, and now they're, you know, expensive as anything else. Not so much Burgundy, but they're pricier. And we've been getting into more of the white wines recently. So I saw the Beaujolais Blanc. I picked it up. I don't really know much about this one.
What's it called?
This is Dominique.
Dominique Piron.
There you have it. So we're going to enjoy this while we enjoy Areej Doré. Is it a Doré or Dor?
Le Doré, le Doré, the golden.
The golden, right.
Areej the golden. I don't know who Areej is. I'm sure there's a story behind the name.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me think about this. So what do we own from that brand already? So I have War and Peace 2. Mm-hmm. I have Musclave.
Yep. Grandinia.
I have Grandinia.
Yeah.
You have a Grandinia.
I have Grandinia.
So we have 2 bottles of those between us. I have Chinese Oud.
Yep.
And now these 3.
Yep.
So obviously there's no gifting of bottles when it comes to Areej Doré. So, you know, these I purchased.
Chris purchased these.
Got to get that out there. 'Cause...
We always disclose when we are given stuff.
Okay. Let's take a look at this.
All right.
This is very nice
clear.
and golden.
Ooh. It has a pleasant sort of plasticiness. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, it is very plasticky.
It's a bit like an inflatable pool toy. Interesting. Ooh. I don't think I've ever had a wine like that.
So the finish of this is very interesting. It kind of goes in one direction and then takes a left turn really quickly.
Yeah.
Left turn not in like a bad way, but
right.
It started off like minerally, and then it kind of went buttery really quickly.
And I feel like I can't taste anything in the front of my mouth. It's
Yeah,
all
it's
in the back.
all in the back. Yeah. So that's really interesting.
It's
okay.
really dry. And it's got like a citrusy, lemony acidity right in the center back of the tongue as well.
Lovely.
Interesting.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
All right, so let's put this aside.
Very
and let's
acidic.
get into it. So, which one do you want us to start with? Tell us in the comments. So I think we should start with this.
Okay, it's Russian
So
Musk.
this is Russian Musk II. So we should do the presentation angle. We should show the whole thing. So the boxes are a little bit different for this collection. They're almost like little drawers, right, that you pull out and you have the fragrance in them.
Yeah.
And any type of notes or anything is on the back of them. And previously, in previous collections...
It's like a clamshell box.
It's like a clamshell box, but there's also top, heart, and base. This just kind of has like a little bit of a...
little blurb.
Prompt,
yeah,
if you will. So, Russian Musk II. So these are all 50 mLs, just like they originally were, I believe. And I believe the prices were the same as they originally were. These are the first bottles that are custom made. So I think Russian Adam, in some of his work, he had custom tops, but I don't think the whole bottle design was custom. So
yeah,
this
is
is
glass components. Custom.
Yeah, so the glass component of it. So here you have it. Here's the drawer. Here's a little blurb on the back. And here's the fragrance falling out of it. So yeah, you pull the drawer, and you kind of got it right in there. And these bottles look very kind of old school French, right? I think that was the idea.
That's the first thing we thought. It was like, oh, it looks kind of like, you know, Guerlain, that kind of thing.
And then we watched this video, like that was...
It was intentional.
It was intentional.
Sure.
And, you know, there's some beautiful calligraphy on there, if that's your thing. Areej here, title here. And in the base of this, you could see his signature. is kind of like etched into it, and you could see it kind of straight on, like in here, but it's backwards that way, so you can see it kind of like through the bottle. So this is what you get. Here it is. You like it, you don't, whatever. So let's smell it.
And I actually prefer this presentation, and Chris prefers the old presentation, so...
I don't really have strong feelings.
Yeah.
You know, I can't really say any which way. I just think these guys here is where the cost was cut. Because these are just kind of like plastic stick-ons, and they're kind of not stuck on very well.
Yeah.
I fully expect them to fall off.
I was a little surprised by that. That said, I mean, he takes great care in his presentation.
He really does. I personally don't care.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about what's in here. It looks beautiful enough. It's going to sit there.
And this time the box doesn't have that like satin pillow that the fragrance sits in, which frankly made the old presentation look kind of tacky. Like I think
agree.
This looks better, honestly, but that's just me.
Yeah, the whole satin kind of plush pillow thing.
Something about it. It was kind of like I laughed out loud the first time I opened it.
I remember. Yeah. And it kind of has like a very like kind of like casket feel to it.
It's true,
like
yes.
you're laying someone in a you know, there's just like this satin pillowy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all right. So here's Russian Musk II.
Chris has smelled all of these. I haven't. This is first impressions for me.
Yeah, so I wore all of these on skin. I did the pre-order, so I was able to get them a little bit in advance. So I wore all of them on skin. I've smelled them on strips. You have not smelled these yet, but you will smell them.
I'm very excited.
I have thoughts. I have opinions.
I would hope so.
And let's get into it.
Okay.
All right, so first of all, the atomizers on this are kind of amazing.
Yeah, that's really
It's
cool.
a very, like, slow but torquey, like, mist. It's like
a controlled mist.
Yes, you could control it very, very well.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're trying to run through water a little bit. So, atomizers, fantastic. Step one. All right, so let's
Love
go.
a good atomizer.
Oh yeah, it makes
Like
a big difference.
Oh yeah, the Mitsuko bottles have great atomizers.
Yeah, the older ones do.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps you smell them with a good atomizer. There's atomizers that just kind of like spurt out.
Yeah, some of them are just like...
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. All right. Russian Musk II.
Ah. Right off the bat, it has that like dry, phenolic, smoky quality that I notice in War and Peace. Much less intensely.
It's like the... Yes. It's that intensity of War and Peace, but it's kind of tucked back.
But this is like coupled with this sweet, syrupy beeswax honey thing going on. It's very honeyed. Very beeswaxy honey.
So... It's actually not what you're saying I agree with, but when I first sprayed this, what I was very kind of excited about was the top notes. This has like this lemon bergamot thing that I just find completely juicy. And usually top notes, you know, I'm not hugely excited by them. They kind of come and go, and they're just kind of there because that's what you do, you know, you put in top notes. But if a top note stands out in like an interesting way, this kind of did. I don't know if it's, you know, the quality of ingredients. I don't know if they're vintage. We're not really sure what the vintage stuff is versus the non-vintage. You know, you could look it up. I don't really know that, but this, I really, really like the top note too. And when I first smelled it, I was like, oh, this is very sheeper-like. But then it went in a different direction. Yeah,
I didn't get a strong impression from the top note. For me, it went straight into like super phenolic and then like a very animalic beeswax honey. Like a phenylacetic acid, which is sort of like what's used to make honey in perfumes. And it smells like honey and urine, basically.
Yeah.
And this has that funk to it.
And so when I wore this on skin, I wore it on my chest, kind of like underneath my pajama stuff, so I was kind of getting wafts of it like throughout the whole evening, and it is a little bit dirtier on the chest than it is on the strip.
Sure.
And it really dries down to a very kind of close deer musk thing.
Yeah.
And it has that little bit of a piney angle to it. So this has a lot of like kind of woody kind of things. You mentioned like phenolic.
Yeah.
It's definitely phenolic, but it's kind of so Russian musk. You're almost like looking out on pine trees, kind of like he was saying in his video.
I would have never gone there unprompted.
Really? I get completely piney cypress kind of thing.
To me, it's all about animalic because it's phenolic, which reminds me of castoreum, hugely phenolic, and then it's got that really animalic beeswax, and then underneath it, I'm getting that same like Siberian deer musk that is in musclove.
Yes.
So it has all those things, and I mean, to me, this is not like a fresh fragrance, like any.
That's so funny to me because I find this quite fresh.
Okay.
Up until like a couple hours later, where it's just like this close muskiness.
To me, it's like incredibly heavy, syrupy, resinous, but also simultaneously dry and dusty.
That's so
and it
wild.
has like a baby powder character as well in there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it does have the
Yeah,
honey
it really
beeswax
does.
thing. But I don't know, there's something about the freshness of the top and then just that piney stuff that I just find really quite uplifting. Like, I would
Now
wear
that you
this in the
pointed it
summer.
out, I can find it. Like
Yeah.
something like fir needle, something like that.
So I would completely wear this in the summertime without a problem.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, there is that little tinge of War and Peace. It's just kind of buried a bit. It's not
it's
so
like
much.
if War and Peace and Musclove and Slow Dive had a baby.
That's
Right?
fantastic.
Yeah. Which I just named 3 very pretty amazing perfumes. So this is a really good one. And very recognizably Areej Doré.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Completely. I really enjoyed wearing it on my skin. I find it, I don't know, just there's a coldness to it. Kind of like through the whole.
Yeah, now that you've mentioned it, it does have that sort of like chilly, wintry, sort of strangely ethereal quality to it.
Like you're,
despite the heaviness of those materials.
Like you're outside and you see the musk deer.
Something almost eucalyptus-like in there.
Yeah.
It's giving it that sort of like mentholated freshness, but not in a way that I would notice unprompted. But there is a cool sensation there. I
don't get a sense of a lot of. I know there's florals in this, but I'm not really getting like a strong. This isn't like a bouquet kind of fragrance.
No.
This to me is about the citrus, the pininess, the oud.
I might find rose in there.
There's rose in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just works really well. But it's not. This isn't a floral fragrance to me.
No.
It's about the kind of the musk and the pininess.
And it really reminds me of that like Indian like what is it called, like Nak Champa incense?
Oh, really?
Champanak. It smells a lot like those kinds of incense that people sell in the subway here in New York, anyway.
Yeah. Okay. It
And
smells better than that, though.
But I only went there because of I was looking for a floral. It's floral in that way, where it's kind of like a funky.
It's that burned,
smoky floral.
That burned floral kind of.
Yeah. That's good.
It's really good. I mean, I really like it.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
I really do.
All right, which one should we do next? Ottoman Empire?
Whatever you'd like.
Okay. Let's do
What do
Ottoman.
you think we should do? Tell us in the comments.
Ooh, I like how snug that cap is. That's very
it's
satisfying.
Solid. It's a solid, yeah.
Yeah.
You could pick that right up by the cap.
That's nice.
No worries.
I like that. Okay, Ottoman Empire. We've heard a lot about Ottoman Empire on YouTube. Ooh, that atomizer's good.
We should show it.
Well done. Well done.
We should give it like one of those.
Ooh.
Oh, look at that. It looks like the wasps from the loft.
Oh, man.
Like the beginning.
That is good.
Isn't this awesome? So,
Yeah, that's really good.
I mean, this
Wow.
is such an opulent oud and spice. I don't...
Yeah.
I've never smelled anything like
It's
this.
like a rose oud, but it's like a spicy rose oud.
But there's...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rose oud. It has like a little bit of that Bortnikov triad aspect to it. But the spices in this, I just think make this incredibly luxurious.
That's really, really good.
I mean, it really is. So it's funny. Areej Doré, the thing is, when you read his notes and then you smell things, you're never misled, but a lot of times they can still be very different, and you go, oh, like when you smell things. Mm-hmm. So when I was looking at all of these, Ottoman Empire III based on notes, or Ottoman Empire, because there is no 3 notes really, it was kind of the least interesting to me. But when I sprayed this, it became my favorite of this bunch immediately. So it's kind of hard when Russian Atom releases something, because you're reading notes and you expect to, have an idea of things. You really don't know.
Yeah.
You really don't know. And they're not misleading. They are what they are. But holy hell. Like, if I had to get one, it wouldn't have been this. But if I had...
Really?
If I had to get one, like,
Just based on the copy.
based on the copy, it wouldn't have been this one.
Yeah.
However, if I had to get one after smelling these 3, it would be Ottoman Empire III.
Yeah.
So it just kind of goes to show you. You really don't know. And I know it's frustrating for a lot of folks, because you pretty much have to do it that way. You have to read the notes and buy what you want or what you can. And, you kind of have to live with your purchase. So I do understand how that's frustrating. But at the same time, if you pull the trigger on something that you're ho-hum about, it might become your favorite.
Yeah. And you can always resell these. These are very resellable fragrances.
And I have to say it all the time. I really get bent out of shape. If you're going to resell these, resell them for what you bought them for. Because
a lot of people just like ticket scalpers will buy them up and then resell them for like a whole lot more money.
Yeah, and it happens with Russian Atom's fragrances a lot, and it shows that people are willing to pay more for them, but it's also taking advantage of people that would really love them when you're just being an opportunist by, flipping things. I don't like it. It doesn't help Russian Atom. He doesn't get that
That's the
extra
main thing.
money.
Yeah.
So it's just, you're not doing anyone, a good...
You're just doing yourself a favor.
You're just doing, you're just being a greedy bastard is what it comes down to. So don't do that.
Yeah.
So if you buy something and you don't like it, somebody will love that, and they will love you for selling it for what you bought it for. So it makes everyone happy. Russian Atom gets the money he does. You get the fragrance. Someone else gets the fragrance. We're all happy and safe, and that's what matters these days.
So let's talk about what kind of oud this is.
Yes, let's do that.
So right off the bat, it's a terpenic oud, a more terpenic oud than I've smelled before, I think. So that means it leans more on the woodier side of things. I don't know if that's another material in here or if it's the oud itself, but it is terpenic. Definitely has that osmanthus angle, that very sort of phenolic beeswaxy osmanthus angle.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's the extent of the funk, I would say. It doesn't get, fermented or cheesy.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely identifiable as oud.
Absolutely.
It starts to kind of hint at like the Hindi oud, and there even might be a little bit in this, but there's something else. It's some sort of blend, it seems like to me. because it's just almost like an oud bouquet, if you will. But yes, you're absolutely right on the osmanthus beeswax kind of territory and being woody. I completely agree with that. And I think that kind of like helps for whatever reason with the spices. Like when I first got this, I was just like, this is just like, you know, being in like a spice market wearing oud.
Ooh, yeah, that's nice. Yeah, it's sort of like a fresher oud or interpretation of oud than I've smelled before. And it's partly because of like those aromatic ingredients that sort of lift it up. Something, you know, fresh, something cool, just like the one we just smelled. Sort of balancing it out really nicely. That's great. We finally smelled Ottoman Empire.
So I just find this insanely opulent.
Yes, that's right. The whole, not brief, but concept, excuse me, that Russian Adam was talking about in his YouTube video is he wanted something that smelled like something a king would wear, like super
sultan,
luxurious. Yeah.
I mean, well done. This does it.
It does, yeah.
So, you know, this kind of reminded me here when I just picked up the back of this. This says on here, the blissful sensation of narcotic depth. Before I read this, when I first put this on, I did get a slight bit of like a narcotic flower feel, but I'm not really getting it right now. For whatever reason, it was just kind of like a little bit of a blast of indole.
Yeah, I didn't pick that up, but maybe
I didn't.
on
I
skin,
didn't this time,
yeah.
but first smell, I certainly did.
Maybe from afar. Maybe something jasmine-y. I don't know. It's great.
It really is.
There's not much else to say. It just smells really good. And for me, it's like just the right amount of funk, you know? That's like really the sweet spot.
Yeah, it's very wearable, but at the same time, it's a bit of a statement.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not going to go unnoticed.
Yep.
But it's not going to be unnoticed in, you know, like you're not going to get a sideways look for this at all.
No.
All right.
All right.
Should we move on to Oud Zhen?
This is the one I'm most curious about because people have been saying it smells like oud chips thrown into a bonfire. So I don't really know what that smells like.
Yeah, we have never burned real oud before.
No, we haven't.
Like Bakor or on a, what are those called that we've been seeing?
I don't know.
Those heating...
Oh, subatism burners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta get one.
We gotta get one of those. Oh. Yeah.
So, I don't know if this ingredient is in this, but to me, this is very birch tar.
Yeah, it's either birch tar or cade.
Birch tar, cade, castoreum.
Yeah.
And smoked oud, but the oud almost seems slightly sweet in this. It's like a smoke... It's like if you take sweet oud, if you will, and light it on fire. Is that what it is,
smoked oud?
I don't know what it is, but that's what it smells like to me. It's almost as if you
Yeah.
have like a sweetness.
Oh, I'm getting the oud now. So right up top, my experience with more smoky fragrances is that right off the bat, it's like, boom, smoky fragrance. Here, for a beat, I was like, what am I smelling? And then it was like, oh yeah, birch tar for sure.
Yeah.
And then, 20 seconds later, I started getting the oud. So it's really about the smoke.
What kind of jumped out at me when I first sprayed this was Russian Adam has, in the 6th collection, a Cuir de Russie. Mm-hmm. I have not smelled that. So I can't compare it to this, but in my mind, this is a Russian leather fragrance. This is what I expect Russian leather to smell like. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It even smells like some other fragrances that are Russian leathers that I've smelled. You know, not exactly the same, but definitely I find this to be very Russian leather. So I'm curious to actually smell that one now, because that is the card-holding Russian leather fragrance.
Right.
With the unrectified birch tar, which this doesn't have, because if it did, he would have told us, just like he did in the previous one, not to put it on skin.
Right, because unrectified birch tar is a carcinogen. So yeah, now I'm really getting the oud, and it's a very similar oud to Ottoman Empire, actually, for me.
So it's kind of funny. So since I've spent some time with these, I actually find the oud profile to be kind of consistent in all of these.
Yeah.
Like, it almost has like a stream that goes through them. They're not all the same strength, but the
kind of oud.
The sensation of it, how it smells, is very similar. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's like the same oud in all of them. Just kind of...
We have to say, for people who are new here, we're not at all experts in oud. I'm sure you already, surmised that. But, we're just enthusiasts and students of oud.
We are. We've smelled a bunch of oud. Yeah. We love oud. But, neither one of us could be like, oh, this is Hainan oud. Or this is Hindi oud.
Right.
We're not there yet. But I definitely get the impression that this is kind of an oud bouquet. Or an oud accord. And by accord, I don't mean synthetic. I mean... he has ouds that he's blending together to get a certain kind of feel. Yeah,
we've talked about this before. If you put, like, oud with osmanthus, then you get an oud profile that's very oudy, but you've modified it to pump up one facet of that oud, right?
Right.
So, that's very possible.
But I do find it kind of a consistent oud profile in all of these, just kind of presenting itself with some of the other notes in different ways.
Yeah, I would agree.
And different strengths. So, I mean, this is interesting. So if you read the back of this, it says, raw, wild, naked, the true oud experience.
Ooh.
So we're experiencing the true oud experience.
Raw, wild, and naked.
So all those people that say, we've never smelled oud or any of that stuff, or they don't know oud, well, we're having the experience right now.
It's so funny because it started out being so much about the smoke, and...
now it's about the oud.
I've never thought of birch tar as a top note. But that's sort of how it operates in this fragrance, somehow.
Well, I mean, Russian Adam has done stuff like that in the past, using kind of animalics as just top, middle, base, and...
Yeah, but I mean, isn't it a base note? I don't have any right now. But it's, I believe it's a base note. How do you...
I guess, it depends on what it's with.
I don't understand how this is progressing.
So I noticed when I wore Oud Zhen on the skin, it was a little bit more... Don't smell them yet.
Okay.
We'll go back and do that. Now, when I first wore it on skin, I felt it more animalic than it appears on the strip. Oud Zhen specifically. And Russian Musk II. But... this one was definitely a little bit more funky, I felt.
I can see that. This is sort of the most punk rock of the three. You know what I mean?
I actually don't know what you mean.
Really?
Yeah.
Just the fact that, the smoky fragrances, it's sort of a trendy thing. Make something smell like a bonfire.
Which is easy to do, kind of, right?
Yeah, it's not hard. And it's just especially when you're using something as precious as oud to modify it with such a strong material as birch tar orchid, that's kind of bold. It's very untraditional,
Yeah, but I feel like with a lot of birch tar, castoreum, cade fragrances, they're kind of a little gimmicky. Because I feel like there's a lot of them out there right now, so it's kind of it's a little bit affected.
I like them.
I'm not saying I don't like them. I love them.
Yeah.
I think they're great, but it's just
it's a trend.
It's a trend, and I feel like they're all not that different from each other.
Yes and no. I mean,
some I like better than others.
The thing with really smoky fragrances is that you'll smell one, and then 2 months later you smell a different one. You'll be like, it smells just like that other one, but side to side, you're like, no, they're nothing alike, actually. Yeah. Just because I think it's really easy to like put all of these smoky fragrances in a single category in our minds.
That's true.
So I've done that experiment with like Incendo and A City on Fire and Bodeces.
Yeah.
And I was trying to decide because I wanted like
Fumador.
a smoky, like which, and they're all very different actually.
Yeah.
Even though they all sort of fit in a tight category in my mind.
That's true. And actually, Oud Zhen, it reminded me of, what was it? The TRNP.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was called Black Smoke or Black Powder.
Like gunpowder.
Gunpowder.
Yes, a viewer sent us that.
Yeah, and it was actually her son that made it. Yeah. And it was a little bit avant-garde. I was like, oh, it smells exactly like that. And sure enough, I sprayed that, and then I sprayed this. Mm-hmm. No, they're nothing like. Yeah. But you're right. Your head goes there. And I like just did this like, I don't know, 3 days ago. Right. I was like, oh, they're exactly the same. Nope.
For whatever reason, like I think there are a few categories like that, but smoke definitely is one of those.
Yeah, your mind just goes to it and kind of
the chai fragrances.
Chai fragrances,
that's
yes.
one.
Yeah.
Anything like with a heavy dollop of cardamom is easy to like stack them all like in a a single file when in fact like they can exist in very different universes.
But so you say this is the most punk rock?
Yeah.
Of these three?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Of Areej Lador? No.
Interesting. Well, War and Peace, I guess.
To me, War and Peace.
Yeah.
If you spray that once, you can completely cover the. You know what I mean? Like it's just such a big fragrance.
It's if by punk rock we mean challenging, then
and complex, and so many people get different things when they smell it. They either gravitate towards like the kind of sensualness, or some people the smokiness. To me, that is much more of a punch in the face fragrance. These, I find, compared to like a War and Peace, are pretty restrained actually. I mean, they're very complex and
restrained,
rich and big
in that like classically composed way.
Yes.
In the sense that nothing is like yelling and screaming at you. It's all very sort of balanced and inspired by vintage perfume to some extent.
Completely, yeah. So now let's go. You want to go back and smell?
You'll allow it?
I'll allow it. No, I wanted us to do it together. And,
I'll let you hand it to me.
All right, so Russian Musk II. Let's go back to that and give it another smell. Oh, this is awesome.
Now I'm getting that lemon.
Now you're getting the lemon.
Now I'm getting the lemon. Strange. Yeah, it's like a coriander thing going on.
Juicy citrus on the top of this that I just, I feel like we take for granted citrus in fragrances because they're just kind of there.
They're in everything, that's why.
It's kind of like perfunctory a little bit, but I don't know what it is. It smells good.
Yeah, I think it's like a coriander. It's like a very like linalool heavy spice, so it's giving that like impression of freshness.
It's so weird though because it has that freshness, almost like that kind of like you mentioned like eucalyptus before. It has that, but then there's the deer musk, which is just like adding this like sensual nature to it.
Yeah.
And it comes out even more on the skin.
And this was the honeyed one, right? Yeah. This is not as honeyed anymore. Still kind of, but not like in a syrupy way anymore. Now, like, the phenolic angle has taken over and dried it up a little bit. For those of you who don't know what phenolic means, it's sort of what the word used to describe, like, what castoreum smells like, that very dry smokiness. And a lot of people say it smells like how a Band-Aid smells. It's like a medicinal smokiness.
But it's also present in some lavender as well. Parts of the right?
Is it? Phenolic?
That's what I thought.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I'm thinking terpenic. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Apologies.
Well, we'll have to do a perfume words video. But yeah, so that's what phenolic means. And So that like that very sort of arid dryness is sort of taking over now and sort of making it a little more somber than it was.
I find when you kind of like breathe in a little bit harder, you get a real powdery kind of, like more so than smelling it
Yeah.
kind of lightly.
Yeah, it does have like a, you know, that talcum powdery smell.
Russian Musk II.
I really like how these are all different colors.
Yeah.
I think they look really good together. Really... Got like a greenish one, an orange one, a brown one. That's pretty.
Okay, should we go to Ottoman again? Ottoman Empire III.
Ooh.
This just, it's an amazing oud fragrance. It's just so...
There's, that rose is doing something strange where it's almost like going into...
To me, like it's triad. It's
a citrusy territory. Like it's almost like a sweet orange rose.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? There's like a sour sweetness that's taking it in an interesting direction. It's both soft and imposing.
It's a tough one to kind of...
Yeah. It's like... it's super... It's like, if I were to personify this fragrance, it's like the opposite of conspicuous consumption. It's like old money energy. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I smell amazing, I'm wearing all the best stuff, but also, I'm not loud about it.
Exactly.
You know?
Like, I got it, and I don't give a F.
Yeah. It's very beautiful.
It really is.
Okay. And then Oud Zhen.
Is this Oud Zhen?
Yeah, so now that I'm, you smell really well, but like through contrast, and now that I'm coming back to this, the smokiness is more obvious, but still not as obvious as it was up top. Yeah, and it's this one too is like a very terpenic woody angle. Almost like a sandalwood going on. There's like a creamy wood going on, like a milky quality almost.
Yes, yeah. So I'm curious of what you're gonna say.
My favorite? First, second, third
of this collection.
That's actually I would have thought that I'd have a clear winner, but they're so different that I don't know if I can really answer that. I think Oud Zhen would be last, but to choose between Russian Musk and Ottoman Empire, I think is pretty challenging. And that isn't to say that Oud Zhen is not a good fragrance. It's a very good fragrance. I really liked that Russian Musk had that sort of honeyed beeswaxy quality because that was very unexpected. And I liked that it had a very distinct, like, 3 kinds of animalic facets at play with each other.
Completely.
And they weren't even, like, blurring each other. It's like you have 3 animals lined up. Like, they're very distinct from each other somehow. So that was really interesting to smell. But if I were to buy one, I think I would buy Ottoman Empire simply because this is the most wearable to me. So, yeah.
So I would rank them the same.
Yeah.
As you. And again, it's hard because it can be a little bit misleading based on notes. I probably would have gravitated towards Oud Zhen first. Mm-hmm. Then Russian Musk II, and then Ottoman Empire, and I actually like them in the opposite kind of thing. It's not to say Oud Zhen isn't good, I just, it's not my favorite one. Will I wear it? Am I glad to have it? Absolutely. I love it. In terms of like
it's
a
hard
bonfire.
to rank these because they are all like
again,
really
it's
strong
Areej
fragrances.
Doré. It's really hard.
Strong isn't successful, you know.
Yeah, it's you're splitting hairs here.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
You
To me,
really
it's
are.
pretty much a tie between these two, Ottoman Empire and Russian Musk. Yeah, if you're into oud and if you're into animalic fragrances and if you're into like vintage fragrances, then anything really by Areej Doré would probably be up your alley. So
yeah, exactly. Oud Zhen, maybe some folks that actually burn oud chips might kind of have like a different reaction to it. They might have a more kind of like intimate kind of experience with it. I don't know that there's anything burnt in it, but it definitely has that kind of like burnt smoke oud thing, which is lovely. It just, it wasn't my favorite of the bunch, but I still love it nonetheless.
yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, there you have it.
Thanks so much for watching. If you've watched until now, leave a sunshine emoji. And yeah, stay tuned for another Areej video coming up where we'll smell the decants at some point.
Yeah, we really have to.
Because, yeah, a lot of our viewers have been kind enough to send us precious limited edition decants.
Yeah.
So we'll really have to do one of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just like some random comments. These are 50 ml. Some of his other works have been 30 ml. The prices are, I think for what you're getting here, I think you get more than your money's worth.
It's a high price point, no question.
It's a high price point, but, there's some other fragrances that are much higher price points that
and you get much less for the money. Yeah.
Yeah, that I don't find quite live up to the price and even the rarity of some of the ingredients.
Yeah, no, I don't
In
think
my opinion.
I don't think his prices are crazy for what you're getting because you have to remember that these are very expensive ingredients he's using. A lot of them are antique. Like there's a huge amount of investment going into the materials, the packaging,
and the time to blend this stuff.
Yeah,
and, make a product.
He really is a one-man show.
Yeah,
he's on top of his marketing. Like he's a very impressive person.
Yeah. And his videos are great. So if you want to know more information kind of about like how these were made and like what's in them and how they're different from the originals, watch his Russian Adams videos on Areej Doré because they're incredibly kind of educational as far as that goes.
Did you want to do your impression of him?
No.
The impression is just talking from profile.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
Is talking.
Because all his videos
like
are from
this.
profile.
I love it though.
Yeah, it's great.
I love it. All right, so there you have it.
All right. Okay, so thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, everybody.
We will see you next time.
And stay smelly.